The Fancounters Celebrity Podcast, number 157. Coming to you from nowhere near the entertainment capital of the world, this is the Fancounters Celebrity Podcast.
You were like the carrot top of interviewers.
Wow, how disappointing was that question?
You did not just ask me that.
Well, that's a big question.
Never mind, I'm done. I'm not doing the show.
Wow, I can't believe it.
I'm telling you, I'm hooked.
Nick.
Yeah, he's so awesome. He's so a good friend of mine.
Welcome to the Fancounters Celebrity Podcast, and Merry Christmas. It's next week. I have not done any shopping yet. Not a bit.
Me neither.
It's going to be all last minute or online. So I don't know about you, but hopefully you're going to take this hour of this wonderful show that's going to put you in the Christmas spirit, because we've got a great guest, and I hope you take this hour and get some online shopping done while you're listening.
Amazon's my friend.
Exactly. It's going to be this year. You can follow us on social media. If you're looking for Fan Counters, go to Instagram and look up Fan Counters Live. Also on Facebook, you can look for us by just searching Fan Counters. That's easy enough. And then Sharpie Nation is the name of our private group on Facebook. I do also welcome any kind of holiday messages you want to pass along to us. Send those off to hello@fancounters.com. Tracy and I would love to hear from you. This is where you say yes.
Well, of course. We love hearing from our fans.
I don't even know if I said my name. I'm Nick. This is
Tracy.
And we are back again. So on the show this week, we're going to get right into it. I don't want to waste your time with any weird celebrity news. I don't have a podcast plug for you, because what I've got is a solid, entertaining interview with none other than the Christmas Stories' Scott Schwartz. Scott played Flick in the movie. If you don't remember Flick, well, you should.
I do. He stuck his tongue to the flagpole. It was
Darn
awesome.
Right he did. And we're going to learn how that happened, too. It's funny. I was talking to his publicist who booked this interview with me, and he goes, yeah, he gets asked that all the time. Was it a fake tongue? Did it really get stuck to the pole? All that. He says he gets asked that a million times. Well, in this whole interview, I tried to not ask him questions that had been done a million times, but that's one we had to do. Because you want to hear the story.
Oh, absolutely.
And I wanted to hear it too, so we asked him that question.
And it was good.
It was. Now, you would know that Scott Schwartz was in movies before A Christmas Story. In fact, he starred right alongside Richard Pryor and Jackie Gleason, who were some of his role models growing up as a child, and gave him advice on set and kind of really made their mark on him, because he's never forgotten the experiences that he's had with those two men, and we're going to learn some of those on the show today.
Absolute legends.
Anything else you want to say before we get rolling?
No, let's just get going.
All right, this is Scott Schwartz from A Christmas Story and many other shows, movies. You've seen him everywhere, and now he's right here on the Fan Counters Celebrity Podcast. This is my co-host, Tracy.
Hey, how you doing, Scott?
Hi, Tracy. Boy, I got to tell you something. I was expecting not that voice.
No, I am a guy.
Oh, that's okay.
You don't have to apologize.
That's all right. I get, until people hear me talk, they hear my name, and I get the misses, when they email me or something, but then I talk to them live and they go, oh, just like you did. That's not the voice I expected.
Scott Schwartz, welcome to Fan Counters. Thanks so much for being here.
You got it. It's my pleasure.
Now, looking back on your career, it's amazing to see how many big stars you've worked with. But right off the bat, I got to tell you something. I've spent the last 4 days listening to interviews that you've given this year, because it seems like you are literally everywhere. So, to tell you
thanks to my my booker, Steve Joyner, I've traveled more miles than I think anybody in the elections.
Steve is amazing, and I appreciate him so much. So what I'm going to tell you is I'm not going to ask you basic questions. When I was listening to your interviews, I felt like there was a lot of opportunities for the hosts to ask follow-up questions to some of those obvious things. And I was like, why didn't you ask that? And then I wrote it down. So that's kind of how I'm going to jump around a little bit today. I hope that's all right.
Okay.
Because I feel like you must get tired talking about your days as a child star, or do you still find that to be really fun?
Oh, there's nothing wrong with it. Listen, it's. I'd rather be talking about being a child star than saying, "Hey, man, how about those 3 DUIs you got?" It's just.
Let's talk about some commercials first. I know you've done over 100 commercials. And one of the most ones you talk about a lot is about Yogi Berra. And so obviously, I don't want to know about what happened on camera. You mentioned that Yogi Berra and you got to chat about the Yankees and that kind of stuff. Did you get any good stories from Yogi Berra?
You know, at that point, I mean, I'm like 8 years old, 8.5 years old. I don't think I would have known to ask him any good Yankee questions.
Okay.
I wouldn't have asked him about Mantle, and, the only one I was a fan of was Lou Gehrig, and I knew that he was way older he was gone way before Yogi got there.
Mm-hmm.
So, I might have asked him, what was it like playing the Yankee Stadium? He said, oh, it's the best. It's the greatest stadium. But that probably would have been it.
Okay. See, at 8, I was a pretty big baseball fan and, had really expansive knowledge. I think I could have put one over on him or something, but I didn't know if that had happened or not for you.
No, at 8 years old, you really don't go there,
Yeah.
So your first film was The Toy, starring two Hollywood legends, Jackie Gleason and Richard Pryor. So you're about 14 at the time. Did you understand how popular these actors were and how unique of an experience this was for you at the time?
Oh, sure. I knew both of their careers. I was a movie buff before I was in commercials or movies or anything. So I knew, how big it was. I knew who they were and I don't know what else to say. I mean, it was what it was, but I knew who they were for sure.
That had to be amazing. I'm a fan of both of them, and I can't even imagine just being in their presence.
Great experience, no question.
Now, with that movie, The Toy, you went through kind of one of those cattle call type auditions, probably one of many in your career. So when you're a kid and you're seeing a bunch of people that look just like you going up for the same role, how hard is that psychologically for you at the time? I mean, are you really kind of psyched out about how many people are going up for one spot?
No, nothing ever bothered me.
Okay.
I just, you just go in and, you do your job. That was pretty much it. You don't get psyched out. If anything, within a very short time of me being in the business, people were scared of me. I mean, it was really funny. I would show up and kids would go, oh. I mean, I ran into him. I didn't remember him. You meet somebody, you run into somebody 20-some years later, and he told me, he was working here in Southern California at an electronics place, and he goes, "You're Scott Schwartz?" And I said, "Yeah." He goes, "Oh, you don't remember me, but..." And he started telling me, he was auditioning, and his mom, and every time I'd walk in the room, he would just look at his mom and go, "Oh, geez, well, we might as well go home." Listen, I felt bad. I'm like, "Hey, dude, man, you don't want to make anybody feel," but he's like, no, you didn't do it, but you showed up and you were just very talented, and, you had a good look and people just loved you. And I said, well, thank you. He's like, besides that, I hate your guts because I didn't get to work.
Well, and you probably run into these same kids at multiple auditions.
Oh, all the time, of course. Because you're all in the same age range. It's not like they send out a casting call and they go, okay, we're looking for a blonde-haired kid, 5 foot tall, 104 pounds. They don't do that. They just say, we're looking for a 9-year-old. Okay.
So when I talked to Steve, and Steve set us up for this interview, he did tell me about a time that you were almost fired from The Toy while filming on your very first day. Thought that would be a good story to hear.
It was my first movie, and nobody told me that Gleason ad-libbed, that he just said whatever he felt like saying. He's not going to stick by the script. And I've done commercials. I've done Broadway, done off-Broadway. All the things where the script is of importance. You have to stick with the script.
Yeah.
And they didn't, and he didn't. But nobody realized it. So here I am, and, I'm ready. I got all my dialogue. I know what I'm doing. Whatever. It was the scene in the car at the end of the movie in the Rolls Royce where he's taking me back to the airport. And take after take, he's throwing me off because he's not saying anything, and I'm just stumped. And they go, okay, we'll do it again. Okay, we'll do it. We'll spend all day long. Finally, they're like, okay, forget it. And the producer, Phil Feldman, one of the producers, took me back to the hotel and called my dad. I said, listen, we got a problem. Your kid doesn't know his lines. And my father's like, are you crazy? He knows every line in the whole script. And so they weren't seeing what was going on.
Yeah.
So my dad got it first. He got me on the phone. He's like, listen, I don't care what the guy says. When he shuts up, just say your line. Okay. And then word got to Richard Pryor of what happened. And I'm back at my room, and I was crying because the guy basically said, you got one more day. If you screw up again, we're replacing you. You're getting fired. That's it. It's over. You know, you're telling that to a 13-year-old kid. And so I was upset, and Richard calls me up. He's like, come to my room. I go to Richard's room. We're sitting there. We talked for 20 minutes. And he goes, okay, stop. He goes, what did we just do? So we had a conversation.
Mm-hmm.
He said, no, we ad-libbed. I said something, you said something. I said something, you said something. He goes, I don't care what anybody said. When they shut up, say what you feel comfortable, what comes natural. And I went, really? That's it? He goes, yeah, that's ad-libbing. That's what that is. Okay. And I had the next day off, but I actually went to the set anyway, just to feel more comfortable. And then by the third day, it was me and Richard. And we went bang, 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 bang all day long. Everything was fine. We got past lunch, and the two producers came over to me, Phil Feldman and Ray Stark, and they go, listen, you're doing great. You're not going anywhere. Don't worry about nothing. Just do what you're doing. Okay. That was it.
Had Jackie Gleason seen you work really well with Richard on that next day?
No.
Okay. So
he did not hang out on the set unless he was working.
So what was it like the next time with him? Was he like, wow, kid, you improved? Or, did he have a reaction like that?
No, I just kept going. Okay. That's really all I did is I just kept going. So if you keep going, it's okay. And that's what I did.
Were your parents pretty supportive of your whole entire career? You mentioned how your dad's just like, giving you advice and encouraging you. Was kind of your whole career supported by your parents?
Yeah. Why would they not be supportive? I was having a blast, and, my mom was the typical mom, when I started out, she was working as a manager of a 7-Eleven in central New Jersey. And then her second job, she worked at Prudential at night. And my dad was a window cleaner, floor waxer.
Wow.
So it was not the typical Hollywood mom-dad situation. Both my parents had full-time jobs, and Dad was a movie buff and a fan, and he loved the process and being a part of it all.
That's amazing that they still figured out being full-time, jobs and a parent and being able to get you to these things. That's pretty cool.
Well, Mom, it's actually funny. My mother drove me a total, I got to say, under 5 times in my whole career, or the thousands of auditions that I did. That's just not what she did. She just didn't drive me. My dad drove me sometimes, and then we had a friend who was another guy that was at my dad's movie club, How I Got in Showbiz. But he was there, and we hired him to drive me. And I got to tell you, driving around in a 79 Plymouth Volare station wagon is really fun. This was not, Rolls Royces and limos.
Were you facing out the back window too?
Yeah, going help. No, I'm just
well, no, the station wagons back then you could sit looking backwards.
Oh, absolutely. There was no question. I remember now.
I always used to fight as a kid to do that.
The only reason I asked that, Scott, is I just wondered if you wanted to be in the business more than your parents did, and they were just kind of like, going along with it. So I just wondered how involved they were as far as the encouragement of, wow, you're talented. I'm on board 100%, and I'm going to help you get there. It's kind of funny now that you tell me that you had somebody else driving you. So.
Well, we didn't have any choice. Dad couldn't get away every day, You still got to run a business. Yeah, like I said, my mom, she was working full time, 2 jobs. So, it was, trying to remember, I think she had driven me like maybe 3 or 4 times. And she was driving me in on a Saturday for the Broadway show I was doing, Frankenstein on Broadway. And something had happened to her car, and she sent it in to get fixed. And we had a rental. We were just about going into the Lincoln Tunnel, and the brakes went out on the rental car.
Oh, jeez.
And we ended up hitting somebody, and then somebody hit us, and somebody hit them. You know, it was one of those 4-car kabooms, and nobody got seriously hurt, nothing like that. But the guy, like 4 cars back, he's like, "Hey, does anybody need any assistance? I'm a doctor." And no, we're okay, fine, whatever. And he came over to my mom, you know, "Are you okay, ma'am?" And she's like, "Yeah, I'm just a little shook up." But he's like, "Oh, you want me to look at you? You know, is this okay?" Yeah, whatever, okay. She goes, "But I really got to get my son into the city. He's in a show. You know, I got to get him in for, you know, the afternoon performance." And he goes, "Well, I'm going to a show. I'm going in the city. If you want, I will give him a ride." You know, we don't know the guy, but he's a doctor, you know, okay.
Sure, I believe you. Yeah.
So, no, I mean, you know, he had MD on his license plate, you know. So I get in his car, and he goes, "Okay, what's your name?" I go, "Scott." He goes, "Okay, what show are you in so I could drive you over there?" I said, "Frankenstein." He goes, "Really? That's where we're going, to Palace Theater." I said, "Okay, let's go."
Wow.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, so the guy that picked us up was going to see, no problem. And got in, and by the end of the show, they had already taken care of Mom, and, you know, she had gotten another car and came to the, you know, whatever it was toward the end of the show, but didn't miss the performance. But, you know, after that, you know, my dad's like, "You know what, I think I'll just drive."
All right, the set of the toys seemed to be a pretty loose area to be in, and it sounds like you had some extra time to get some lessons from both Richard and Jackie, including some bad habits like smoking. Were your parents not around when you were smoking cigarettes?
No, I didn't smoke back then.
Oh, I thought he taught you how to smoke. That's bad research on my part.
In his own way.
Oh.
See, Gleason never handed me a cigarette. But what he figured out was, if I was around him and we were chatting or whatever, other people wouldn't bother him. So he basically used me as a human shield to be left alone.
Okay.
So I mean, I was 5'4" and I weighed a whole whopping 52 pounds when I started.
Mm-hmm.
And he'd say, "Kid, come here." And I'm, "Yes, Mr. Gleason, come here for a minute." And he'd pick me up and he would put me on like, you know, his thigh. And he'd be like, "How you doing?" "Oh, I'm doing good." "Oh, okay." And he would yell, Mel. Mel was his assistant. Mel would come over and Mel would put a cigarette in between Gleason's fingers, and then he would light it for him. And I mean, I'm 6 to 8 inches away from his face, and he's smoking in my face day after day after day. Nobody said a word. You know, today he'd go to jail. You can't do that. You know, You can't smoke near any kids, you know. So I just got the smell in my nose, and you just get the, okay, whatever. I mean, I really didn't start smoking until I was 16, I guess, maybe, you know, somewhere around there.
All right.
And I smoked on and off, on and off, on and off.
But Jackie Gleason did teach you pool.
Yes, he did. We were shooting the party scene, and there was a lot of downtime in behind the big house with the motorcycle and Richard's car and all that. A lot of downtime, and Gleason looked at me and he goes, "Hey, kid, have you shot pool before?" I said, "No, Pop, I haven't." He said, "Come with me." He took me in the house into the room with the pool table and taught me how to shoot pool.
Did he have a secret technique or secret that he taught you?
I don't think it was a secret. It was just, you know, teaching me how to shoot.
Okay.
You know, he didn't like get fancy. He didn't show me massé shots and jump shots. I could barely see over the table. You know, I had what they call an apple box.
Uh-huh.
If you think of like a little crate that apples come in,
Okay.
in show business, they call that an apple box, and they have it made out of wood, and you stand on it to be taller. So I just grabbed one of those, and we brought it into the room with the pool table so I could see nicely over the table.
That's a great idea. Wow. So Richard Pryor spent time talking with you about life lessons in old Hollywood. I'm sure he had some great stories to share.
You know, it wasn't necessarily a story about Hollywood. We would just talk about different things, you know, from anything you can imagine, from racism to, you know, no politics back then. Nobody talked about that stuff. at all, to drugs, women, booze, alcohol, things to do, things not to do. But he taught me about timing, about what being a stand-up comic is, how to tell a joke. He's like, anybody can tell a joke. Bing, 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 you're done. Okay, fine. He goes, but if you become a good storyteller and you draw people into the story and you keep their brains on you and their eyes on you, you carry them through the story. When you get to the end of the story and they start laughing, you will always have them, But he was great. I mean, we were friends then, and I was friends with the man until he passed. Miss him every day.
Mm. Did you ever want to follow in his footsteps being a stand-up comedian? Did you dabble in that at all?
Oh, yeah. I was at the Comedy Store. I did plenty of nights at the Comedy Store, and, you can say you're studying your craft and all that kind of stuff, but I mean, I was there in 88, 89 into the beginning of 90, and it was kind of the second golden era of the Comedy Store. You had your 70s guys, the Robin Williams and David Letterman and Jay Leno and all of that, and that crew, and Richard. But Richard was still around. So when I was there, it was Yakov Smirnoff, Jim Carrey, Richard, Eddie Murphy, Arsenio, Paul Rodriguez, wow. The beginnings of Eddie Griffin and Carlos Mencia and all the Wayans guys. And, it was an incredible time for the Comedy Store. Sam Kinison, Andrew Dice Clay.
Wow.
They were there. I saw them, 4 to 5 nights a week.
Wow. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. I mean, I'm watching this Comedy Store documentary and I'm going, why didn't anybody call me? Oh my God, the stories I had. Jesus. I was there the night that Sam Kinison and Dice got into the fight. Sam left and got his gun and went shooting. I mean, it was insane.
Wow. That all happened not with an audience there, right? That was backstage stuff?
Actually, it was right in front. They have a little bar area in front.
Uh-huh.
And they started to have a brawl, and the bodyguards parted ways. Sam left, and we get a call in the booth, and they're like, listen, you got to tell Dice he's got to leave. Sam's got his gun. He's got his .38. It's loaded. He just did 4 lines of blow. He's coming. You tell Dice to get out of there. All right. So I went over, and I said, hey, Andy, you got to get out of here. It was really funny. Nobody called him Andy. It was either Andrew or Dice or whatever. I'd call him whatever the hell I wanted. I didn't care, Uh-huh. So I said, Andy, you got to get out of here. Oh, I'm not going anywhere. Yeah, you are. Sam's on his way back. He's got his gun. It's loaded. He's done some coke. He's going to shoot you. You will be dead this evening. Why don't you get in your car and go home? And he grumbled and said a few things, and then he got in his car and left. And Sam shows up, and of course, Dice is gone. And we could hear Sam before he even got there. He had a convertible Mustang, and the top is down. He's revving the engine. He pulled up, not into the parking lot. He pulled in front of the Comedy Store on the sidewalk.
Oh, my gosh.
He put the car in park, didn't even take the keys out, doesn't turn the car off, and he gets out of the car, and he's waving the .38. And we're like, Sam, he's gone. He left. Please, put the gun down. He's gone. And then he's like, oh, BS, and blah, 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 blah. And to the right is a walkway that you go to the back of the Comedy Store to the belly room. And there's a Comedy Store lit up sign. And Sam's blah, da, 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 and he's going on, and all of a sudden, the gun goes off, the bullet ricocheted off the little ceiling part of the walkway right into the top of the Comedy Store sign. And it had the bullet hole in there for, I don't know, 15 years. Mitzi and Paulie didn't fix it. They just said, nope, that's the sign Sam shop.
Yeah, part of history.
Wow.
Oh, yeah. Then he went in the bathroom and just destroyed the bathroom. He was pissed. He wanted to shoot Dice so bad. He went in the bathroom and just yanked the toilet right out of the wall. I mean, it was insane.
Did they ever make peace with each other?
I doubt it.
Do you know what the fight was about?
Sam said that Dice copied some of his material.
Wow.
Oh, jeez.
And if you watch the two of them, completely, totally different acts.
Yeah.
So, I mean, even me, having watched them so many nights, I was kind of like, no, I don't really buy this, And he was saying this thing, and I'm trying to think, what did I say exactly here? And then what did Sam say there? And is it really close enough that somebody's going to say, oh, somebody took this and copied it? I'm like, no, but whatever.
Yeah. Wow.
It was nutty, man. I saw Sam on that Wednesday night, and he's like, hey, I'm not coming in tomorrow. We got to go to Laughlin on Friday. Be back on Sunday. I'll see you on Monday. I said, okay. And Friday, I was getting ready to go to the Comedy Store, and I got the phone call that he was killed in a car accident.
Wow.
You want to talk about a hilarious funeral. I mean, I understand, life, death, and funerals are very morbid. They're very sad.
Yeah.
Oh, no. I mean, when your host of the afternoon for the funeral is Rodney Dangerfield.
Oh,
okay. Enough said.
Yeah, he starts off, hey, how's everybody doing? Okay, Sam, get the hell out of the box, okay? And you're just losing it. And I'm sitting next to Richard Belzer and Gary Shandling.
Oh, wow.
Each of them, I got one on each side of me. And I'm like, 6, 7 rows back on the right-hand side, on the left-hand side. It's Robin, and it's Paulie, and it's the gang. And I mean, it was an hour-long rip-roaring. You're crying because you're laughing so hard, and at the same time, you're crying because you're sad of what happened.
See, that's a cool way to celebrate somebody's life.
Yeah.
Could have been a TV. The funeral could have been its own TV special.
Probably.
Best ratings ever.
When those guys are, the gloves are off, there's no, worried about what you're going to say or how you're going to say it. I mean, to hear Rodney Dangerfield talk about Sam was just beyond anything you could have imagined. Because he just let it fly. I wish I had a tape recorder with me because it was incredible.
Well, jumping back to the films that you had done after that, you had done The Toy. It came a film called Kidco. The one story that I was kind of fascinated with is you were still a teenager when you did that film, and
I was 14.
Yeah, it was you though that went into a room of producers and the director and said, "We can make this movie in a much shorter period of time." And basically telling them, you can do your jobs better. Did they think that you were crazy being a kid telling them to shave 2 weeks off a shooting schedule?
Of course they were. The thing was that our shooting schedule was supposed to be till December 22nd. The Toy was opening in the movie theaters December 10th. And Columbia was telling me, oh, we're going to do this, promo that. We got to get you on this show. We got to get you on that show. Okay, fine. Well, I had to be available to do that.
Yeah.
There was no Zoom back then, There was no virtual nothing.
Right.
And so we had finished a table read with all the cast and everybody, and I asked the director and the 2 producers, can I talk to you guys for a minute? And they said, okay. And we're supposed to start shooting the next morning. And I said, listen, the shooting schedule is just not really good, gang. Whoever put this together, I don't know, but we can get this done faster. And honestly, I got to get out of here by December 10th. And, it was Frank Yablans, David Niven Jr. These guys had tens and tens of years of experience. They threw me out of the room. They talked to my dad. My dad's like, listen, you don't know my kid. He just did 4 months of Gleason and Pryor. If he says he's going to do something, he's going to do it. Why don't you just get on his back like Secretariat? He's going to ride you to the finish line. And they're like, movies don't get made faster. He goes, again, you don't know my kid. He's got Zilla right now. That's how he feels. Just talk to him. Okay. So they bring me back in, and now it's like sitting at the World Series of Poker. And they look at me, and they're thinking, what cards am I holding? Or is he bluffing? So they ask me the question, okay, you want to get done faster? What do you want to do?
Mm-hmm.
And I said, listen, let Alan and I look at the shooting schedule, because I saw we're shooting at the school here, but we're shooting at the school there, and we're shooting at the house here, but we're shooting at the house there. We got to put these things together. It'll save tons of time. And they just looked at me. They had no idea what to say, because they never thought that was going to come out of my mouth. And they went, okay, see you later. And they all left other than the first AD and me, and we sat there and redid the shooting schedule. And believe it or not, we finished on December 10th. the day the toy opened in the theaters. The first part of the wrap party on the film was they bought 4 rows of seats in a local movie theater for opening night of the toy, and we all went.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
That is cool.
Mm-hmm.
So when you guys were working on the movie, did you really work with real manure?
No, it was all
Dirt?
fake poop, as they say.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean there was some mud and all that kind of, but no real poopies. You know, I mean I did ride the horse quite a bit, but anything that was more than just a walk, and they're like, okay, get off. And then the guy who was my double got on the back of the horse and started, gallivanting around.
After that film, Kidco, that's when we go into the most classic movie that you've been a part of that has never stopped showing on television since you released it, and that's The Christmas Story. So the budget of the film was something that I was kind of curious about. When I looked it up, it was like around $3 million, right? Does that sound about right?
A little bit more than that.
It was,
a little
okay.
bit more than that.
But there aren't any huge stars in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
So was there a sense that it was as big of a budget movie as you had worked on in the past? Did you feel like things were cut back? As an actor, what did you think about the production side compared to the other 2 movies you did?
Well, Kidco wasn't a big budget film either. So Kidco was not a big budget. But The Christmas Story, it's sort of interesting. When you get on a set, there are basic things that they do. You have breakfast of some kind.
Mm-hmm.
Now if you're on a mid-level shooting film, we didn't have a wagon, like a lunch wagon on Christmas Story, but I had one on Kidco and we had one on the toy. But other than that, they fed you, they had breakfast, they had bagels, coffee, bananas, whatever. They had all that kind of stuff. Lunch, they always had a decent lunch. And if there was a dinner thing, they brought dinner,
Mm-hmm.
There's no big differences, other than maybe a few more people on the set.
Okay.
If you're shooting Iron Man, there's 140 people on the set. And if you're shooting Christmas Story, there's 30 people on the set, 35 people on the set.
Okay.
Crew members.
Yeah.
That's it. There's really no difference in the process, when you're just shooting. The budget comes into play with the cast you have. Do you have big stars? Do you have big locations? Do you have, big sets of any kind? Christmas Story was very, very simplistic.
Well, Bob Clark was the director of the film, but he also cast the movie. Was that odd for a director to also be the casting director?
Yeah, maybe. Good question. I don't know. Different people work differently.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, the casting director doesn't make the decision. The director makes the decision.
Ultimately, yeah. Yeah, you're right.
Bob he was easy because he was just looking for regular kids. He didn't want anything, let's just say, special. He wasn't looking for the Pacino or Montgomery Clift of kids. He just wanted normal, regular kids that could act, not programmed, not Hollywood-ish kids. So him knowing what he wanted, it was much easier for him to just walk into a room and say, hi, how you doing? Oh, how old are you? You go to school? What grade you in? Okay, great. How do you like acting? Have you done stuff? Okay. And he would just talk to you. That was what he did. My audition was easy because he had seen the toy. The toy had come out in the theaters already.
Mm-hmm.
And he just wanted to see if I was a normal kid. So when I go in, it's him and me. We talked for about 10 minutes. He says, listen, I missed lunch. You want to go downstairs and have a hot dog? We were in New York City. I said, sure. Go downstairs. We have a hot dog. We keep just BSing. We just keep chit-chatting away. We come upstairs. We talk for another few minutes. He says, I got to tell you, it was really nice to meet you. Thanks a lot for coming in. I said, you want me to read anything? He says, nope. Whatever I could give you, you could do. No worries. Okay.
Nice.
That's good.
Within 10 minutes, I was up at my agent's office. She was 7 blocks away. We went over to say hi, and she said, well, what did you do? I said, we talked. We had a hot dog. She says, well, I guess you did it good because you got the movie already. That was it.
Oh, my gosh.
Wow.
But you didn't know what part you had at the time because didn't they give you the script and you had it for like a month before you even knew what you were going to play?
Yep. They sent me the script, and I was the lead in The Toy. I'm the lead in Kidco. I'm figuring I'm Ralphie. So I study Ralphie. I memorize the whole thing. I get there. We get to the table read, and we're all around the big table. And Bob goes, "Okay, Peter, you're Ralphie. Zach, you're Scott Farkas. Yano, you're Grover Dill. RD, you're Schwartz. Scotty, you're Flick. Ian, you're..." And I'm going, "Huh?"
Yeah.
And I turn around, and look at my father, and he's like, I don't know, you know. So I looked through the script real fast. And again, there was nothing crazy. The biggest set was the Flash Gordon scene that they shot and then they never saved and they didn't leave it in the movie. That was the biggest set that was built. And, you know, I was hired, you know, for 6 weeks. And I'm like, well, it's a short shoot. But if you're looking at the script, you know, it's the biggest thing is you got to change cities because it's Cleveland, Toronto, and St. Catharines, Ontario. And I looked through the script, and Flick had 16 lines in the whole script. And I got a Post-it note, and I wrote 16 lines, 6 weeks, vacation. And I handed it to my father. He just looked at me. What are you going to say? Okay.
Yeah.
We get done with the whole thing, and I walked over to Bob, and I said, "Bob, you know, Flick, really? I got like 16 lines. I'm going to be here for 5 weeks, whatever, you know, 6 weeks." He goes, Nope. That's your guy. That's your character. It's not the size of the role, but what you make out of it, and you're going to be great. You're going to be awesome. Don't even work. Okay, fine. So I literally worked 1 day a week.
Wow.
It's one of the greatest characters in the movie. Are you surprised in 2020 that this movie is still one of the #1 Christmas movies every single year over and over?
I was surprised 15 years ago. You know, because again, it's not a movie with big stars. There's no special effects. It's just a wonderful, wholesome family movie, you know, and those work. Okay. You know, got to remember, I mean, it comes out on video oh God, it's out the end of 83. It comes out on video mid 84, really for the holiday in 84.
Mm-hmm.
And it's in VHS, you know, no man's land from 84 to 96. It just sits there on video. You know, they didn't show it on TV more than a handful of times. That was it.
Right.
And fate lent a hand, and Ted Turner was buying the MGM movie library for TBS TNT. And he needed a couple movies. He ended up buying A Christmas Story as one of the last films. They decided to do the marathon, and the rest is the rest. It's unbelievable, you know. But I mean, it's wonderful.
Every year, over and over, 24 hours of A Christmas Story. It's amazing.
Listen, and, you know, people have asked me, "Oh, my God, it's shown on TV 12 times. You must make that all this money." And I go, "Yeah, I get $1.60 for the marathon."
Oh, my gosh.
That's it?
That's it. It's a sliding scale. Number one, every time something gets shown, you get less and less and less, and then there's kind of a basement of whatever. And the contract that was done with the union, nothing to do with kids, nothing to do with me. It was done before the movie, whatever. If you showed a movie on the same station on any given day, you only get paid for one showing.
Wow.
So when they show it the 12 times, you know, 6 times on one day, 6 times on it, you know, or whatever it is, 4 times at whatever. I only get paid for 2 showings, and I get like 80 cents a showing at this point.
Oh, my gosh.
That just doesn't seem right.
That's, you know what? It's what the contract says.
Yeah.
It wasn't my contract. That's everybody's contract, you know. I mean, I was what they call an ACTRA contract. I was a Canadian contract because they could only have at the time 3 Screen Actors Guild U.S. actors. So it was Peter, Melinda, and Darren. That was it. So I had to sign an ACTRA contract. Had I known that, I would have asked for more money.
Yeah.
You know, because Canada, if you're not a resident, there are things they make you pay. You know, we here in America, you know, we go, "Oh, you know, how come they have free health care in Canada, but we don't?" And I raise my hand and I go, "I know why." You know, It's the non-residential tax, 23%. They have a GST tax that's 8%. Then they have a check fee, a check percentage fee, 3%. 3% of a check, if it's $10,000, they take out 30% to write a check.
Dang. Wow.
They take 3%. So I called the union. The first big check I got, it was like $5,400, whatever. And I see how much they took out for this 3% check writing tax. And I said, this is a lot of money to write a check. And she says, well, you do know we have universal health care, right? I mean, a woman, and this is 20 years ago, told me that. I'm like, really? I said, so if Tom Cruise does a movie and he's there for 1 week and gets paid $10 million, you're going to tell me he's going to pay like $30,000 or $300,000, whatever. 10 million? 1 million is 10%. Yeah, $300,000, 3% of his check is going to go for this 3%. She said, absolutely.
Oh my God.
It's the same for everybody.
Wow.
Oh yeah, I'm telling you, and then 23% non-residential, and then they have a fee for not being an ACTRA member. They give you what they call a pass, which basically means, okay, we know you're Screen Actors Guild, and we know you're coming here, so we're going to make you a part-time for this length of time actor under the ACTRA union. Okay. It's like 4 or 5% of my check.
Oh, no, it sounds like they're giving you something. Nope, you're paying for it.
Well, of course you're paying for it. And the point is you're not paying for it for just that amount of time.
Mm-hmm.
It's every check forever. Wow. So for all these years, for the 30, however many years it is already, 37 years, every 16, 18 months I get a check. Every time. This fee, this fee, this fee. Really? It's
that is crazy.
It's 40-something% of my check.
Wow.
And then I have to pay U.S. taxes on top of that too.
Yeah,
don't forget.
Yeah. So do you think this is why Vancouver and stuff is so film friendly to have productions come up there? Because they'll give probably the production company the break, knowing that they're going to get all these taxes from the people that they pay?
Of course.
Yeah.
They're not dumb.
Oh my goodness.
They're not dumb. Anthony Michael Hall, who did Dead Zone up in Vancouver.
Uh-huh.
I went to high school with him, so we've been friends forever and a day. And, knowing what I went through with Christmas Story, we had discussions before that, before he had gotten Dead Zone. He says, if I ever get anything in Canada, man, I got to get more money. And I said, yeah, because this is what happened. So he did Dead Zone, and they didn't offer him a lot to start. But by the third season, he's like, oh, no, I see what's going on here. This is what I want to get paid because this much of my check is goodbye-bye before I get it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's forever.
I wonder how many people are good enough to know that now to request that, and how many find out the way that you find out.
Well,
the hard way.
Anybody. Listen, my agent was from New York. She was only in, business for, I don't want to use it as an excuse,
mm-hmm.
Because she was a great lady, but I just don't think she booked many people who had worked in Canada, at that time. So it was what it was.
So I have to ask you, Scott, your character Flick, best part of the movie, one of my favorite parts is when you stuck your tongue to the frozen flagpole. When you first read that in the script, what did you think? And were you like predicting that you were going to be in pain and have an injury as a result of it?
No, I figured they're going to figure out something, whether it's a piece of tape or a stickum or a piece of gum. I mean, something, when I got there, Bob took me over to where the pole was. He said, this is how we're going to do this. And I went, oh, okay. I figured it was going to be something. They're not going to stick me to a pole. You can't do that.
Oh, absolutely. Right. What did they end up doing?
While they didn't pay attention to many child labor laws, injuring a child, that might be, we don't have to do that,
Right. So what did they end up doing for you?
It's a hole in the pole, which was a piece of plastic. There's a real pole underneath it, but they put a piece of plastic. They put a hole in it about the size of your pinky nail with a suction tube, a tube that went into the snow with a little motor, like a Dirt Devil little vacuum cleaner motor.
Oh, wow.
And it was a suction tube. That's all.
And so that's what kept your tongue to it. That's awesome.
Yep.
What a great idea.
You look at things differently so many years later and so many decades later. Somebody said to me, well, how did they show you what was going to happen? I'd never been asked the question. I'm telling you, this is probably 8-10 years ago, maybe. So this is 28 years after the film was made.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, well, this is what happened. They turned the motor on. Bob went over and he said, watch. He stuck his tongue on the pole. I saw the suction thing, and then he just pulled it off. And I said, okay, fine. And then I did it. But then I thought about it. I said, you know what? Nobody ever wiped off the pole.
Okay.
So it's like where Bob's tongue went, my tongue went.
Wow.
I mean, it's not exactly, clean and whatever.
You didn't think
But
about
it
it
was
at the
a thing
time.
that happened.
That's funny.
Never thought about it until so many years later, and I started laughing.
Oh, I would have been.
Bob was gone. I couldn't even say, dude, we've kids already. What's the big deal here?
Yeah. Now, Scott, you started your film, The Christmas Story, with that scene, and then you had to end the film shooting that scene all over again. Something about undeveloped film or something, right?
They had underdeveloped the film, so it came out dark. So we had done 12 and a half hours the first time.
Oh.
In the lovely weather of Canada in February of something between 20 and 24 below zero.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
With the wind chill. So then I ended up, and we had already left. We went to Cleveland, and Bob says, well, I got good news and bad news. The good news, you're going to be with us a few extra days. Oh, okay. He said, the bad news is we got to go back out to the pole. They developed it. It all came out dark. They goofed. They screwed the pooch, as they say. We got to go do it all over again. Oh, gee. Okay. So the second time we narrowed it down to 11 and a half hours.
Oh, that's
did they
not
clean
any better.
Did they clean the pole that time for you?
Well, no, I didn't need Bob to be there.
Scott, I don't want to get very personal, but do you Google yourself?
Almost never.
Okay.
I mean, listen, I know what I've done in my life.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what do I need to Google it for realistically?
Right. Mm-hmm. Well, to make sure things are factual.
Oh, most of the time they are. I mean, even like my IMDb page, they have stuff that in my credits that aren't even me. There's another Scott L. Schwartz. But sometimes they'll put his movies on my page. It's like, whatever. I don't care.
Well, I'm bringing that up because there's a funny question on here. And when you click the question, then a little box comes up and it tells you the answer. So when I was Googling you, this box comes up and it says, what happened to Scott Schwartz? So, of course, I'm going to click it. And here's what it says. It says, after appearing in more than a dozen films in a non-sexual capacity, he quit in 2000. So I just thought that was kind of funny that it was written like that. So according to Google, the career to keeping your career going was to do other kinds of films, apparently.
Yeah, but see, listen, it's hysterical. There are things that are not in my Wikipedia or Google. Because when my book will be out next September, and all of it will be there. So all of the questions or all of the answers to any questions will be there.
Well, and also you didn't quit acting in 2000. It's incorrect.
I never quit acting.
I know.
I never quit acting. Nobody ever quits. When we quit, when we're in the box, that's when we quit.
Yep.
By mid '85, when I hit puberty, my face changed, my voice changed. I didn't get as many jobs. I did, just not very many at all. So I got a chance. My most of my junior and senior years of high school, I didn't miss much time for jobs and all that. Okay, fine. And about the time I hit, right before 19, my face changed back into the way I looked when I was 13 and 14. It really did. I mean, like my high school graduation photo, I absolutely hate. I detest that photo. I look horrible. I don't look like me. You know, people say, oh, no, it does look like you. I'm like, trust me, it doesn't look like me. So when my face morphed back, you know, I already was a certain age. You know, when I did 21 Jump Street, the first season of 21 Jump Street, I'm 19 years old there. And I sort of look pretty much like I looked earlier. My face was changing at that time, you know, but I always kept going, you know, but it's who wants to hire you? Who wants to book you? Getting an agent is hilarious in this town, you know. I mean, literally, I couldn't get an agent. With all the work I had done, I could not get an agent.
Wow.
You know, I was an old face. This is what they told me. I was an old face. You know, I had one agent, you know, we're sitting there and she's like, so what have you done lately? I said, well, actually, you know, I left LA and I traveled the country for 18, 19 months and now I'm back. And she's like, so what have you done lately? I said, I just told you.
Yeah.
And she's like, well, no, work. She goes, no, work-wise. I said, what work? I just told you. I drove and traveled the country. What do you think I did? I stopped off in Dallas to do a Texas Walker Ranger. What do you think? You know, Walker Texas Ranger.
Yeah.
So, you know, she's like, well, you know, I just don't think we have anything. Fine. You know, it literally took a friend of mine to talk to their agent for me to go in. We sat down and, you know, all the work I had done. Again, when you're looking at a resume and you're seeing Columbia Pictures, 20th Century Fox, MGM, blah, 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 and the whole 9 yards. And they go, well, could you come in next week and do a monologue? This is what they did to me.
Wow.
And you're like,
And I said to the woman, I said, are you serious? I said, my work should speak for itself. What do I need to do a monologue for?
Right.
She's like, well, I just want to make sure that you can still do it. Really? You want to hear to be or not to be? What the hell do you want to, you know, it's ridiculous.
That's
so
insane.
I went, made the appointment for the next week, and I come back in, and she says, did you have your monologue ready? I said, yeah. I said, why don't you bring your assistant in? So she brings, and I didn't do a monologue. I did every impression of people I knew. So I did Rodney Dangerfield, Dr. Ruth, I did Richard, I did Gleason, I did whomever.
Awesome.
You know, I did the Jive guys from Airplane. I mean, gee, man, William Simmons and Bones checked me up, hyped me. I mean, this is what I did. So I did like 5-6 minutes, and I stopped and I said, is that enough? And she goes, did you prepare the monologue? I said, listen, if me doing that for 5 or 6 minutes is not enough for you, I can go home.
Yeah.
And she's like, well, you know, so-and-so's a friend of mine, so, okay, we'll take you on. Okay, fine. That lasted a year, you know.
Jeez.
You know, and I talked to another agent, and they actually said to me, oh, my God, you know, you're wonderful. You've done so much great work. You're still very funny. You know, who is representing you? Now, this person is an agent themselves. Who's representing you? I said, nobody. I need an agent. You want to take me on? Oh, I wish I would. My roster's full. Then why the hell did you talk to me to begin with?
Yeah. Who sets that limit to begin with?
Of course. You know, if the person thought you're so talented and wonderful, I'd say, you know what? I'm actually over full, but my friend so-and-so.
Right.
Whatever. You know, I ended up with a great woman named Pat as a manager agent. And even her and I, when we first started talking, she was 50-50. But it was one of those things that, again, life and fate takes a hand. She's got a picture of Rowdy Roddy Piper on the wall. And I said to her, I go, is Roddy Piper one of your clients? And she's like, yeah. I said, he's a very close friend of mine. She's like, really? Oh, okay. And then we chit-chatted, whatever. And she called him. And she said, hey, you know, Scotty Schwartz came in. He goes, oh, I love that kid. Oh, my God, he's wonderful. and more or less, they talked about me, my personality, whatever. And the next day she called me up. She said, would you come to the office? I went and she said, listen, Roddy absolutely adores you. He thinks of you like his child. And he says, I have to sign you, so I'm signing you. Okay, fine.
How cool that is. All right. So now that you bring up Rowdy Roddy Piper, after doing some digging, found out that while you were auditioning for Tom Hanks' movie The Money Pit, you met Big John Studd. And
Yep.
while you ended up becoming friends, it didn't start that way. Is that correct?
Oh, he scared the hell out of me. You know, I mean, my mom, my grandfather, they were wrestling fans. So I was a wrestling fan. And I knew who Big John Studd was. He fights Andre the Giant. He's a bad guy. He hurts people, you know. And I walked in the room, and he's sitting on the other side. And I see him, and I walked in literally a step and a half, and I started to back up. And I walked into my father. He looks, he goes, "What's wrong?" I said, Dad, that's Big John Studd. He hurts people. He's a bad guy. My father's like, "Would you shut up?" So I sat down, and my time to go in was before John. He had just gotten there early to study his dialogue. I go in, I come out, my dad's sitting next to John Studd. And, of course, the movies had all, that's the way had been out and all that. And I walk out, and Dad's like, "Come here. John, this is Scotty. Scotty, this is John." And John Studd, this big smile. "Oh, man, it is so cool to meet you. I'm a big fan. I love the toy." This is John Studd, you know.
6'10",
Okay.
John Studd. There you go.
He extends a hand of friendship, shake his hand. Great. We ended up driving him down to Madison Square Garden. They had matches that night. And he gave me his home telephone number. No cell phones back then,
Right.
you know. And he's like, "Listen, if you want to come to the Garden, you want to come to the Meadowlands, you want to come to the Spectrum in Philly, whatever you want, you just call me and you'll be taken care of." Okay. And so I went, and the next thing you know, he brought me in the back, and I started meeting all the guys, and it was, you know, about 8 minutes before they put me to work.
That's cool. I remember his days when he was a tag team partner with King Kong Bundy.
Here's another piece of work. You know, I honestly, you know, he was a sad tale at the end. Chris was a really fun, loving, jolly guy when he was young and athletic and whatever. And once the career with WWF kind of ended, all of a sudden he got this massive chip on his shoulder, you know, as if somebody owed him something and all kinds of stuff like that. And he lost a ton of weight, but he was a grouch and a different guy. And, you know,
Wow.
I mean, I'd seen him at different events and places, and he was always cool and whatever. And then the last time I saw him, you know, I mean, I'll say he was a prick. Excuse me if I say that word and it offends anybody, but that's what he was. And I'm like, "Really, dude? I've known you for how many years?" Whatever.
Wow.
You know, but Studd was a pussycat, you know, and I'm friendly with his son, so it's really cool. His son Sean. But you know, the friendships I made during the 16 months or so that I was free help. I was ring crew. I got food. You know, back then their catering consisted of Domino's. It was Domino's and the pizza and hot dogs and beer from the stadium. That was their whole catering.
Oh my
Now they're
gosh.
catering 30 and 40 feet, you know, food.
Yeah.
So they'd send me out to get food, beers, hot dogs, whatever. I'd go to the airport, pick somebody up, take them to the hotel, take them to the arena, take them back to the hotel, whatever. You know, I didn't do it for the money. I wasn't getting paid anything. I wasn't an official employee, you know. And then a couple times, you know, Vince called me and said, "Hey, can you help me? Can you take care of this for me?" Sure.
Just like he took care of Andre the Giant, except he almost killed you.
I picked him up once at the Marriott on 50th and 8th Avenue in Manhattan in a Dodge cargo van. Because he didn't fit in any regular cars, you know.
Uh-huh.
And, I mean, he could fit him in a limo, but they weren't going to put me in a limo. So, okay, fine. They're like, "Go get Andre." So I go, and I told the woman who I am, and she sees my staff pass that I work for the company, or supposedly, whatever. And I called his room, and he's like, "Hello." I said, "Hi, Andre. It's Scotty from Titan. You know, Mark and Mike sent me over to come pick you up." "Come up." And he hangs up the phone. Well, that was come up. He hung up the phone.
Uh-huh.
So I ended up getting his room. I go upstairs, and I walked in, and there's 3 empty gallons of wine sitting on the table in front of the couch. You know,
Wow.
he got in the elevator, and it was like a pachinko machine, a little pinball machine that you just all the things.
Uh-huh.
Because the elevator starts moving, and he's half cocked. He's had enough booze in him, and he's feeling good, and he starts moving in the elevator. Well, I'm all of, you know, the hell do I
5'2"?
weigh? I weigh, what, 98 pounds? And I'm moving as he's moving because I don't want him to squash me in the elevator.
Right.
You know. Then I got him
Jeez.
outside and got in the car and in the van, and I drove him over to the Garden.
Yeah, Andre was a big
He
drinker.
put his hand on top of over my entire head. He said, "Thank you," and he went. That was it.
hook of our show, Scott, is questions about your encounters with your fans. So maybe you've met some weird fans, some crazy ones, or maybe just had a fun encounter with somebody who recognized you. Do any moments with your fans stand out to you as moments you'll never forget?
Yeah, but, it is not proper to say the words that this guy said to me. I'll try and do it.
Okay.
Dad and I were leaving the city. We're going through right before the Lincoln Tunnel, a couple of blocks short, and you got the window washing guys, with the squeegees.
Mm-hmm.
And he did that side first. I said, Dad, give me $1. She gives me $1 and I roll down the window. And the guy looks at me and goes, yo, man, you famous? I said, kind of, yeah. He goes, you in the movie? I said, yeah. He goes, you're the MF from the toy. You're the MF from the toy. But he said the whole word,
Yeah, uh-huh. I'm following.
He's screaming to his buddy on the other side of the street. Yo, man, this is the little MF from the toy. This is the MF from the toy. I mean, it was hysterical. My dad and I were cracking up the whole way home going, really? Did that just happen? The window washing dude, recognized me. But no, I mean, most of the fans have, been really cool. There's nothing, no craziness, I mean, there's one, Terry Weigel, who was a Playboy Playmate and other things and whatever. And, she was definitely worth meeting. There's no question, And I mean, that's, oh my God, I was 19. That's 33 years ago. And her and I are still friends.
Wow.
That's pretty cool.
She's a wonderful, wonderful woman. I don't judge people. I don't say, oh my God, she did this. That makes her horrible. No, that's stupid. She's a good-hearted woman, Loved her, the husband who had passed away, and loves animals, loved dogs. A very kind and sweet and loving woman. I just love her to death. She's wonderful.
Do you do any of those kind of cons where you go around for autographs, pictures, that kind of thing? Do you do those shows?
You talking just the Comic Con?
Well, like a Comic Con,
but Expo.
Oh no! I'm talking about like Comic Con.
No.
Those just where they get the celebrities together in a room.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah. I've done many shows over the course of the years. I don't do a lot of the Comic Cons. It's mostly autograph shows because I haven't really done anything in the comic world.
Correct.
Or the sci-fi fantasy world. My stuff's pretty vanilla. It's holidays. I did a horror movie, Raiders of the Living Dead, that 99.9% of the general public has never seen. It doesn't really qualify me to do the horror shows.
Okay, right.
But no, I go around and if I need something from somebody, I'll ask them for an autograph. Hey, so most of them I know, some I don't know, but they know who I am, so it all works, and we're all pretty friendly with each other, for the most part. There's a couple that are like, really? Are you that arrogant? Whatever.
But do you meet any crazy people at those kind of things that have some weird obsession with you or anything?
I don't know if it was my looks. I don't know. I've never had a stalker.
Okay.
I've never had anybody just go completely wild and nuts other than, like I said, other than Terry. She was the only one. But no, the shows, they don't, they're actually pretty cool. They're like, you know what? It is just really nice to meet you. Oh, my God, this is so cool. Blah, 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 whatever. They ask me, this question, that question. Can I talk to their dad, their mom, their aunt, their uncle, whoever?
Okay.
Most people are just pretty cool about it. Nobody just goes, wacky-do, so to speak.
Okay.
They're pretty calm and cool,
Well,
I'm not the Beatles, so ain't nobody screaming. I'm not Justin Bieber, none of that kind of stuff. It's all good.
Few are, Scott, few are. Before I let you go, I just want you to get a chance to tell us a little bit more about this book. I know that COVID pushed the release date back. Now you're talking next September, right? But this is just basically it's your autobiography, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I had a ghostwriter do it, so I'm a great storyteller, but I'm not a great writer.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, the interview was he asked me questions and I told stories, and we he put it all together into book form, and it's going to be damn near 300 pages, and it's going to be a boatload of pictures and lots of stories, and the book is called Whatever Happened to Me.
Cool. Okay.
And but again, we could talk about it next year when it's coming and whatever. You're gonna say, hey, remember me? And I went, okay,
Does that mean we get to do a follow-up interview after your book's released?
Oh, sure.
Super.
Cool.
You were really fun. I really appreciate your candidness and the stories. This was a great interview. I appreciate it.
I'm not a Hollywood guy. I'm a Jersey guy. You ask me a question, I'm going to answer it.
The accent did come through a little.
I don't do the oh, it's my brand. Oh, that's all caca. That's nonsense. That's ego.
Right.
Everybody is a person. I don't care who you are, whether it's me, George Clooney, Brad Pitt, Julia Roberts, whomever. They're all people. We all got to put our pants on in the morning. We all got to go to the bathroom. We all got to eat, and we bleed the same red blood.
Yep.
Exactly.
Some are more popular than others. Some are more famous than others. Some have more money than others. It doesn't make them a better person.
That's well
very
said.
true. Very true.
I forgot what you said you were doing. You were putting pictures in plastic sleeves because you're headed to somewhere for an autograph thing, or what?
Yeah, I'm going to the Tampa Fairgrounds, Tampa, Florida. They're having a toy memorabilia collectibles type show.
Oh, cool.
Perfect. I like to hear that things are going on again.
Listen, there's a lot of people that are in the entertainment industry that really do rely on appearances and Q&As and theater showings and whatever to make a living. Mm-hmm. This has hurt a lot of people, this thing. And people go, oh, well, you're movie stars. You can afford it. I'm like, hey, listen, I'm filing bankruptcy. I'm filing personal bankruptcy. I'm man enough to say it because I didn't cause any of this crap.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, how you doing? I'm filing bankruptcy. What else do you want to know? Okay.
Yeah.
This thing has sucked. And I feel sorry for the people that can't afford rent, can't afford food, and they got their, the different assistance things and food packages and all this, welfare and food stamps. Thank God I'm not there, but I'm damn skippy close. And, thank goodness I have a couple of things to do over the next couple of months, and that will help me survive January, February, March, and then where we go, who the heck knows?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I put my house on a forbearance program, so I'm only paying half my mortgage. I mean, this is clobbered. Again, I don't take it personal. Not me. It's everybody.
It is. Yeah.
It is.
It makes me sad. It just makes me sad that we had it good for 3 good years of this current president that's under. You support him, you don't support him, that's irrelevant. We had 3 good years of economics under him.
We sure have.
People made a lot of money, but other people, their feelings are hurt because of a tweet or whatever.
Yep.
The expendable income that people had, you saw it at these shows, and you had people making just a really good sum of money so they could take care of what they had to take care of. Now that's all gone, and now, they're crying the blues, and, and it's the throw the bomb on the top of the haystack. I'm trying to remember how there's a saying like this. But like Screen Actors Guild, they just changed their health plan. Their health plan was if you were invested 20 years at the Screen Actors Guild, that 20 years of work,
mm-hmm.
when you retired at 65, you had health care under Screen Actors Guild. You had Medicare, and then Screen Actors Guild picked up the rest. Because of COVID, you got all these claims, and nobody's working. Money's flying out the window. Well, Screen Actors Guild had to make a decision, and they made it. They took away the exemption.
Oh, wow.
So now you got actors who are 73, 75, 81, who have been on, their supplemental thing for all these years, and now it's gone out of nowhere. Now you can get it back. You just have to work and make a certain amount of money. So now you're going to tell people who are 80, 83, 85, whatever it is, anything over 65, you have to go out and you have to earn so much money every year to keep your health plan.
And it's probably not going to be in the industry that they're used to.
Of course, they just stabbed every person of retirement age, I mean, I actually have a friend of mine, and she was all excited. As of 2018, she was vested 19 years. She goes, I got 1 year to go, and then I don't have to worry about it. And now that's all gone.
Yeah.
Now it's irrelevant.
All that hard work.
Well, and all the
Yeah,
dues.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not cheap to join SAG and stay a part of that.
You know what? The dues are not bad. The dues are like $90, $100 a year. It's
Oh, I
something
thought it
like
was
that,
like
you know,
thousands. I
no,
seriously
when
did.
you join SAG,
Okay.
you know, it's sort of funny. I joined SAG in September 1st of 1977. And if you joined SAG and AFTRA at the same time, they gave you a discount. It was like $770 to join both SAG and AFTRA at the same time. If you were eligible, you know.
Yep.
Now it's like $6,000 or something. It's some stupid number.
See, I thought that was annual. That's why I was really concerned with.
Oh no, that's just the first time, whatever.
Okay.
You know, and then they hit you. It could be like $120 a year if you don't work. And again, if you do work and you make a certain amount of money, they take their 1.25% or 1.5%. You know, and that's the money that goes into healthcare plan, retirement plans, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
You know, so, you know, being an actor, while it has great upsides, if you don't make it, there's loads of downsides. You know, people say to me, "Oh, I want to become an actor." I said, "Get an education first. Learn a trade. Get a job. Do acting on the side. If you make it, you make it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but don't do it as a profession, because 99% of the time you're going to be looking at people on the other side of a table going, so you wanted a hamburger medium well with fries, right?" Because that's what happens. People are waiters, waitresses, you know, that bartenders. That's what they do because they got to survive. They got to make a living. You know, I gotta think, because I saw him 10, 12 years ago, whatever it was. A friend of mine was working at a bar restaurant. He was not an actor. But I'm sitting outside and we were having a little bite to eat. There's two guys next to us who were actors, and they're saying, you know, "Oh yeah, you know, I did 4 days, upper extra work on this thing." And the other one goes, "Yeah, I was a featured extra on this." And I'm sitting there listening to these two guys, and they really think that they're actors. They're in the background.
Yeah.
You know, but they're actors. I'm like, oh my God. You know, it's like all the reality people. You know, they really, the reality people to some degree, and the TikTok people and the YouTube, they're stars.
Mm-hmm.
They're stars. And I'm going, really? Let's see where you are in 30 years. And if anybody knows who the hell you are.
30? How about 3?
Yeah, no kidding.
In some cases. Oh, sure. In some cases, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I had 2 reality stars. They really didn't know. They didn't know who I was. And we were at a convention, and I wasn't signing there. I had brought some other people there.
Okay.
And they literally talked to me like I was the dirt on their shoes. You know, I was beneath them.
Wow.
I mean, and you know, I don't want to really say what they said, but it was all demeaning, and it was just talking to somebody like you just don't talk to anybody.
No.
You know, whatever. And I'm like, and who are you guys again? Who are you again? Don't you know us? No. Oh, we're on this show, and we've been on this, and I'm going, is that like reality TV? Uh-huh. I said, I wouldn't watch that crap if you paid me. None of it. You know. Oh, well, you know, we this, and we have so many followers. And I'm like, that's nice. Could care less, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And somebody else, after I walked away, said, "You guys are morons. Do you know who that is?" Not that it's a big deal, and not that I wasn't egotistical about it. Nothing. They said, "Dude, that guy's been in the movies for decades. He's this and this." And, of course, one of them is a monster fan. So now he wants to play nice. "Oh, hey, man, can I talk to you?" "Yeah, what's up?" "Oh, they told me, you're in." "Yeah, okay." "Oh, we love this movie." I'm going, "Okay." "Hey, can we take a picture?" I said, "Not if you paid me."
There you go. That's.
I said, "You spent almost 10 minutes insulting me,
Yeah.
treating me like dirt on the ground, and all of a sudden, now that you found out that I'm actually a real movie star, so to speak, and a real celebrity, as opposed to your nonsense.
Yeah.
Now you want to take a picture with me? Now, listen, good luck. hope you make and save every dollar, because in 5 years, you ain't going to be working. Nobody's going to give a damn. And I hope you save your money. And I walked away.
Good for you, Scott.
And of course, one of the other guys came over. He said, "Oh man, you talked to him. He was really pissed off." And I said, "He's a schmuck."
Well, what comes around goes around.
Exactly.
Look at where you were for 10 minutes. Jeez.
Hey, listen, I've dealt with all kinds, and I treat everybody with respect. The minute you start pulling me, "Don't you know who I am?" card,
Yeah, that's not
for no
cool.
reason other than you're trying to just be important. No. I mean, listen, do I pull it? Yeah, once in a while I have to pull it. If I'm going somewhere, if I'm going to an event and a friend of mine is there, Anthony Michael Hall or Gene Simmons or whomever the hell I know, whatever, I go up to people at security and say, "Hey, how you doing? This is my name. This is who I am. I'm friends with. Would you please go get their assistant, so-and-so?" I have to do it because they got to know who the hell I am. Why am I trying to get backstage, or why am I trying to be wherever?
Sure.
And then, of course, somebody goes and they come back and they go, "Oh, can you come here?" "No problem. Scotty, come this way." That's it.
Yep.
Right.
But, when I met Justin Bieber, he didn't have a clue who I was.
Did you have a clue who he was?
But the point is, though, I met him in a very mellow situation at a deli.
Uh-huh.
He's sitting there with his two buddies next to him, and his one buddy kind of sitting in front of him at another table. And I was the president of an organization called A Minor Consideration. It's for child labor laws, and they help children in the young adults, children in any industry, whether it's any entertainment, singers, dancers, actors, musicians, whomever.
Okay.
We give them good advice, and there's all kinds of other things that the organization did. And I said to myself, you know what? He's sitting right there. There's no crowd of people. It's just him and his two buddies, and one sitting. Okay, fine. I'm going to go give this kid some advice. And I walked over and I said, "Hi, how you doing?" And the guy's like, "There's no pictures." And I go, "I don't have a camera." He goes, "Well, no autograph." I go, "Do you see that I have a piece of paper and a pen in my hand?" "No." I said, "Just relax. There's a reason why I'm here." And I walked over and I said, "Justin, how you doing? This is my name. This is who I am." His two buddies knew exactly who I was in a split second. Justin had no idea. Whatever. I didn't care.
Yeah.
I said, "Listen, been around the industry a long time." And I gave him some advice over the course of like the next 2 or 3 minutes. I just kept going and giving him some friendly advice. I said, "I don't want nothing. Don't ever want nothing." I said, "I just want you to live a good, happy life. I wish you well." And I walked away. And the other buddy that was sitting outside, "Can I talk to you for a minute?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Where'd you come from?" I said, "Well, I was sitting right over there." He goes, No. People don't talk to him like that. And I said, "All I did was give him good advice." He goes, "Right. You didn't want anything. You didn't ask for anything." I said, "Because I don't want anything. I didn't ask him for anything. I've been around the industry for 40 plus years, man. I want to see the kid live a good, long, happy life. Let him take his money, go get married, make babies, and get the hell out of here. Enjoy his life. Showbiz is not the all in of everybody. Enjoy it, but enjoy life as well. Life is to be lived, This guy was blown away with what he's like. "Listen, if you ever hear we're around, you just come find me." He goes, "You're okay in my book."
Wow. Do you think that fell on deaf ears, though? Do you think Justin really listened to anything you said?
You don't know, but
Yeah.
6 months later, he started dealing Haley Baldwin. They bought a house in Canada, and all of a sudden, there's a family, and he stopped with the Lamborghinis and all that. Maybe something I said stuck, because it wasn't a short time later. All of a sudden, I said, "Find yourself a good woman, get married, make babies, buy a house outside of California." And he pretty much did what I said. It was really weird.
Well,
That story's in my book. Whether or not he actually listened to me, or if that's just what happened, naturally, I have no idea.
Well, it's good to think that you had an influence on him now that you look at it, right?
Maybe not. I have no idea. I really don't know. If I hear that he's going to be someplace or whatever, I'm not going to one of his shows. That's not my kind of music. I'm much old school, guy. But, if one of my friends says, "Hey," calls me up and says, "Hey, Justin Bieber and his buddies, they're at this place." If it's not too far away, I'll go over and I'll say hi. I'll say hi to his friend who I talked to, And then if Justin says, "Hey, that was really good advice. I appreciate it." Okay. He might say, "I don't remember who the hell you are." Okay, fine. I don't know.
that would actually be really cool. if at some point he did come back to you and acknowledge that that advice was helpful, or, you know, that he did actually listen. Because, I mean, when I think of Justin Bieber, I kind of think he's a little punk. That, you know, or at least he was at the height of his baby days.
Yeah.
You know, maybe he's changed, but I don't follow his career. I don't follow his career either. I don't follow him, so maybe he's changed. I don't know.
You know, I got nothing against the kid.
Yeah.
Listen, I got against nothing. Nobody. You know, he made what he made, hundreds of millions. Who cares? He's traveling the world. He's getting this. That's great. I'm just hoping he saves some of it, because at some point the gravy train ends.
Yeah,
exactly.
And when the gravy train is over, you don't want to owe more than you have.
Very true.
How true that is.
For everybody, yeah.
You know, I mean, there's been other child actors that have made monstrous amounts of money, and somehow 5 years or 3 years after the show is over or this is done, they foreclose on their house, or they have to sell their house because they can't afford the taxes or this. It's like, okay, well, all right, you were making $400,000 a week. Why did you buy a $7 million house? What is wrong with you? You know, you still have to pay property tax on that house.
Mm-hmm.
You know, what are you thinking? You know, oh, you weren't thinking. Now I get it. Now we understand why you got to sell the house, or why it be foreclosed on, or whatever the case. Oh, that Ferrari that you paid $120,000, good investment. What is wrong with you? You know,
good investment. No, not so much.
You know, listen, I don't care what kind of car. I don't care if it's a Rolls Royce or if you have a Buick Skylark. It makes no difference. When you get on the 101 freeway or the 405 here in LA and it's rush hour, guess how fast you go?
Same.
0.
Mm-hmm.
0. I don't care what kind of car. You can have the $300,000 car that Floyd Mayweather bought, and what? That's great. You get on the 405 at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, see how fast you go. Go ahead. Nowhere.
Right.
You know? And some of them are really small and boxy. If it was me, I'd rather just have a nice Rolls and just kick back and you can relax, and okay, good.
You got to have a driver if you have a Rolls, though.
Yeah.
Nah. The
No.
last person that drove me in a Rolls Royce was Richard Pryor. I can't top that, so
No.
forget it.
Oh, that's, yeah.
No.
And I couldn't even hire anybody that looked like him. They'd tell me I was racist and some other kind of nonsense.
Yeah,
you know?
no
It's
kidding.
like that. Yeah. You know, I mean, let's face it. You know, I mean, even just doing the interview on the radio here, you know, if you think about it, even just talking to me, I'm the only person you're going to talk to probably in your lifetime who bought a black man.
Who bought a black man? In that movie, yeah.
Neither one of you started laughing. Neither one of you got the joke. It's the
Well,
point. That's the
I
whole
know,
point of
I
saying,
had
you
I had to remember we were talking about the movie.
Yes.
And I was like, oh, yeah.
know, that's my joke. Because nobody else can say it.
That's a good joke.
I got it. I'm going to insert the laugh. It's only because we were talking about political things, and I was like, did he just say that? Oh, he's talking about the movie.
Yep.
I'm an idiot. No, I'm so stupid.
Listen, I can say pretty much whatever I want. I have the ace card. I'm going to use the word the Trump card, so to speak, but not
Nice.
Donald Trump, just the Trump card.
Yeah.
Richard Pryor was my muse. He was my mentor. He was my teacher. You know, if people don't understand that I'm not politically correct, because this is who helped bring me up and give me advice and teach me and fill my brain with stuff, if they don't get that, that's their problem.
You've had a very cool life, Scott. I really can't wait for your book.
No question.
And I definitely want to have you back
say
once I
thank
read
you.
it.
I knock on wood. I'm still here to talk about it, and I've had a hell of a lot of fun, and just met and worked with some great, amazing people, and I'm still doing it somehow.
Well, it was definitely great talking to you, Scott, and thank you, because I really enjoyed it.
You got it, Tracy.
All right. We will be in touch again next year. After I read that book, I'm going to call you.
You got it. No problem.
Thank you, Scott. Travel safe, okay?
Yeah, you guys stay well and healthy and all that kind of stuff, okay?
You too. You too.
You got it. Bye-bye.
All right, bye-bye. My thanks to Scott Schwartz for joining us on the Fancounters Celebrity Podcast. That was all I thought it was going to be. That was awesome.
That was a great interview.
He's going to be back next year when he releases that book called Whatever Happened to Me. It's his autobiography, and it's coming out next September of 2021. And we hope you check that book out when it becomes available. You can also follow Scott Schwartz on Twitter. He is Scott, a.k.a. Flick, on Twitter. You can subscribe to him and learn all about these updates that he's got coming up with this new book. That is going to do it for us. We have an episode coming up next week that's very, very unique. In fact, it's an update on a rumored project that I'm involved in. And I'm going to give you all of the new updates regarding that project on the show next week.
I am looking forward to that.
A lot of people have been emailing me. It's really amazing when you put something on a weird place on the internet where people find things. And I will clear a lot of things up next week. So I hope you join me. It's a Christmas episode on Christmas Day. It falls on a Friday. I'm not going to not release a show. And I've got a very special one for you next week. That's going to do it for us. Email us at hello@fancounters.com. And I hope you have a very Merry Christmas next week. And I will talk to you on Christmas Day.
Absolutely. Looking forward to it.
All right. Bye-bye, everybody.